Hello everyone, I'm Ipek. I'm a 7th grader student. Today I will talk about sustainability, especially in terms of environmental issues. First of all, I want to talk about what sustain and sustainability means. Sustain means continue, carry on and keep going. And sustainability means the ability to sustain. Let's look at how can we define sustainability. Sustainability means meeting our own needs without damaging the ability of future generations to meet their own needs. Actually, sustainability is a complicated issue. In sustainability, there is economical side, social side, and environmental side. But today, I will talk about environmental side. Why is sustainability so important nowadays? It is so important nowadays because we cannot sustain. Okay, but why can we not sustain? Because the world is changing. Let's look at how it is changing. There is a huge inequality between poor and rich people, and this inequality is growing day by day. Also, there is an inequality between women and men. On the other side, there is a growing industrialization, and that means too many factories and too many products, and that means too much pollution. Another problem is we waste everything in a really fast way, so our world is full of waste. Now I want to talk about something that I found really interesting. There is something called Earth Overshoot Day. People measure our resources every year. In 1970s, our resources were enough for 1 year. In the 2000s, our resources were enough until October. In 2018, our resources were enough until September, until August, sorry. And that means after August, we started to use next generation's resources, so next generations will have difficulties to find resources. But it's really interesting, in 2020, our resources were enough until September, and there was an improvement, as you can see. This is because of COVID-19 pandemic. In this pandemic period, we couldn't go out, we couldn't fly, or we couldn't drive to somewhere. Many factories weren't open, so there were less pollution, so there was an improvement. But today, when we turned our normal lives again, the graph is again similar like these years. There is another interesting thing. In 1960s, our world is enough for our carbon footprints, and that means our world is enough for us. But today, in 2020s, our world is not enough for our carbon footprint, and that means our world is not enough for us. So we need another world to live in, but there is no plan B. So we must do something immediately. What can we do to sustain? We must reduce our water consumption, because water is a precious resource, and we must save water for next generations. Also, we must reduce usage of plastic, because plastics are becoming waste in a very short time, and actually they are returning to us by fish that we eat from the sea, and it's really dangerous. We must reduce greenhouse gas emissions. This part is a little bit complicated, so let's talk about this. Firstly, what is greenhouse gas effect? The greenhouse effect is a process that occurs when gases in Earth's atmosphere host the sun's heat. Normally, the greenhouse effect is a good thing because with the greenhouse effect, our world is becoming a livable place. But how are we, humans, impacting the greenhouse effect? Human activities are changing Earth's natural greenhouse effect. Burning fossil fuels like coal increase the carbon dioxide in our atmosphere. Too much of these greenhouse gases can cause Earth's atmosphere to hold more and more heat. And this causes Earth to warm up. And this causes global warming. What will happen when we don't care about this? Industrialization is growing every day. And industrialization means too much increase in greenhouse gas emissions. And that will cause climate change. Climate change will cause global warming. And this means severe climate affairs like flood, forest fires, landslides, and drought. And maybe you can remember that we saw some of them in this year, like floods or forest fires. And this will affect soil and agriculture, which will lead to lack of food and hunger at the end. In 1970s, we said climate change is coming. In 1990s, climate change was coming. In the beginning of 2000s, climate change was still coming. But today, in 2020s, climate change is here. So we must do something. The greatest threat to our planet is the belief that someone else will save it. But there is no someone else. Everyone should do something individually. When everyone does a little thing, maybe we can save our world. Thank you for listening to me.
Now we have